Well, welcome back to the Fab Shop, you guys. JP here with JP Street and Performance. We're on the Mini-lathe. We just did the unboxing video. By the time this video comes out, it's probably a few weeks ago, but it's only been a couple days since we unloaded this. One thing about these Chinese Mini-lathes is, everyone's got a lot of complaints that they're way out of adjustment. They have a lot of play. And while I see the potential for all that, we got really lucky with this Crewworks or Creeworks, however you pronounce it, Mini-lathe. I'm pushing up on this. We have no play. So it's actually came pre-adjusted very well. And actually even the tailstock does not move. So pretty happy with that actually. So again, the Creeworks one, it's the CT2140V from Amazon. This one does come with metal gears. So that's one plus side to this one, plus all aluminum adjustment handles here. So while there is things we're gonna improve over time, today we're gonna get into what to look for when you first get this thing, first unpackage this thing. There is paint splatter of gray paint all over the slide. So we're gonna clean this thing all up. I started to clean the tool mount here, realizing I should make a video about this because when I pulled this off, there was metal shavings from the build process of the thing. It was all in the slides, which will eventually scar your beds and your slides. So we're gonna pull this thing apart, show you guys how to clean it, how we're gonna clean ours, and how we're gonna oil it, and then, yeah. So just kind of an informational video for you guys looking at getting into doing a little bit of home machining. So let's get this video started. So one of the very first things we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we just have our triple bearing live center set in there. We're going to go ahead and release the tailstock here. We're going to go ahead and slide it off the end of our machine here. Oh, and there is actually, and I didn't even realize, they do have a tailstock in-lock here. So for us to pull that all the way off, we're going to have to remove this Allen key that's down in here. That's actually really a nice design. I didn't realize this actually comes from underneath. When you lock this down, it pulls these two surfaces together. So, but this Allen key, which is the stopper, is in the way. So we'll go ahead and find an Allen key that'll fit that. We'll get it removed. That way we can get that tailstock off of there. It's snowing outside. The shop's not insulated. I had the heater running, but unfortunately, the heater's too loud for me to do a video. So we're just gonna sit here and be cold a while. My dog's just hanging out. Oh, freedom. All right, so that's that lock I was talking about. It's actually a really nice little setup. So we'll set this off to the side for now. So we're going to start with this half of the bed. What I'm going to use is I have a very fine steel wool, very light bristled brush here. We got some WD-40 in a rag. So we're just going to kind of spray the rag and kind of wipe these surfaces. Try to get all of this stuff off that we can without marring or scarring anything up. You guys can see in there. I'll try to zoom in with the camera, but there is fine pieces of metal inside the grooves here. So that's the stuff we want to get rid of. that and the paint. So and the CrewWorks mini lathe comes with it stamped at the very end back here. It says induction hardened and ground lathe bed. So some of the mini lathes don't come with a hardened bed on them. This one is definitely really smooth, so compared to what I've seen in other videos, so I'm pretty happy with that. And we're just kind of, WD-40 is a good kind of cleaner, because we're also lubricating a little extra at the same time. Try to get some of this paint off. A little bit of emery, or not emery cloth, but Scotch-Brite would work well. Fortunately, I don't have any Scotch-Brite pads in here. I probably have a 3M disc I could use. Some of this paint is hard to get off. Let's see what I got. I got a blue one here. Just use the little pad itself. There we go. Oh, much better. Works better than that light steel brush. Use the brush to get that metal out of those tracks. Basically, any surfaces that touch the little gantry system, the bed, this one has a ton of paint on the inside there, lots of overspray. There we go. And really, this probably doesn't touch down that far on this side, but we might as well clean it while we're in here. So we're going to work on just the bed for now, so I'm going to speed this video up, and then we'll get the bed clean, and then we'll move on to cleaning some of this stuff off, and then how to lubricate it. All right, so the bed's getting cleaned up really nice. We do have some chatter from down under, so we're gonna get under this front track here like that. Just kind of make sure we get any of those imperfections off. That looks good. Another thing I noticed on this particular lathe compared to other ones, not all the other ones actually have oiling ports, which this one has them pre-installed in quite a few places. So that's actually really cool. It's gonna make keeping this thing lubricated properly a lot easier. Okay, so our bedpan, this inner lip on this side and this side has some pretty rough edges on it. So we just take a small file and just kind of knock off. Make sure you're not hitting the bed itself, but we're going to knock off that little corner. Just so we're not dealing with sharp edges. There we go. There we are. It's much better. That sharp edge is gone. That rough sharp edge this side now. I'm just holding this little flat section at about a 45 just to knock off that corner. So, already feels smoother. Bedpan's starting to look pretty good. Let's see. Guides pretty nicely. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just spray this down. And we're going to turn the lathe on. And I'm going to let the wire brush clean out. There's a bunch of metal inside this gear here. So we'll fire this up. We're just letting the wire brush do its thing. And you can see, hopefully on the camera there, see it's cleaning all that gunk out. We're gonna lube these gears and everything. And we're going to kind of wipe the machine down a little bit from all of our stuff getting thrown everywhere. I am noticing that when I get to this further back area, this thing operates really smooth. So right about there's a little hiccup, and right there. And it seems to be right where this gear goes past some welds. Yeah, oh yeah. Let's see if I can get you guys in there. I'm sorry, I gotta try to get you in there. Oh, don't turn the camera sideways. Okay. There you go. There is the gear. Right there. It's hard to see, but at the very tip of my finger, you can see there's paint on the gear because it's catching in. There's a welded seam right here. So I might have to file some of that down. Just take a file. I can see right where it's been hitting these bulk of the weld, and it's very small. We're talking it barely touches, so just take a file to the weld. And just kind of knock it down a bit. There it goes. You guys can hear that. Like, if you listen, it's smooth. And then right there it grabs. There we go. Let's go this way. All right, let's see. How that does. Still a little tight right there, but from here forward is pretty, it could use a little more. We're gonna finish this off. Okay, so we'll get you guys down in there. You can see this is where I had to scrape. It's almost like a sealant on top of the weld, but right at the end of the teeth is where, just in this section, was catching. But now it's fairly reasonable. I think it'll wear itself kind of the rest of the way in. It's barely touching. I don't know if that's in the right angle, but we'll worry about that later. But now, before I used to have to fight this thing. Still kind of got a little bit of jerkiness right there, but most of the time I'm not going to be back this far, but I think that'll actually, those teeth will wear into where they need to go, because it gets, if I go back and forth a few times, it gets smoother and smoother. So I think we got the gist of it off. Unfortunately, we have to clean our threads here again because all that stuff landed in our threads. So we're gonna go ahead and wipe out the tray. We'll clean the threads off and we'll move on. Okay, so next I'm gonna do just a quick wipe down. Got those threads cleaned again. Just to get the packaging solution. Basically it's an anti-rust solution they put on everything so these things don't rust going overseas. But I'm just gonna kind of wipe this down. You can see how much it's already thrown everywhere. Doesn't have to be perfect. This one's just kind of more of a, for my liking, than it is needing to be done. So just don't want it throwing all this crap everywhere. All right. So next, like I said, I had already done this one, but we're gonna go ahead and take this one off again so you guys can see. I still need to wipe it down. I only brushed it off with the stainless brush, but this one's nice and snug. There's no play, which is awesome. So, yeah. Unwind this thing all the way. Okay, here we go. So, this thing was full of particles of metal. These, I have seen on many videos that these come misaligned all the time. I got lucky enough, I don't know if you can see in there, but my bolt holes are actually lined up with where they drilled the slots. So a lot of times I've seen on videos where the drill slot is over here and the bolt's over here and it's not even in its groove. So, but same thing here, we're gonna just wipe this out. I've already cleaned this. Like I said, I started to clean it and then realized I should probably make a video. So, but this was full of gunk and metal. So, same thing. I'm gonna retire this rag just under here for now. Only because it's got a lot of particles from shaving off that weld, filing down that weld. So we're gonna get us a new rag. We're gonna wipe it all down. Same thing in here. And like I said, this one's already pretty clean, but those are the places you want to look, because any little particle of metal can get wedged, cause this thing to cut a groove, cause it to get cockeyed. So we want to clean that really good. And on this next one, I believe, I've never taken this apart, so I believe we have to take these two Allens out and back this thing all the way out, I believe, to get into this slide here. So see if I can find that Allen key in our junk drawer. Found our Allens. So this, I believe, has to come, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this has to come out. As this comes back. Take these out all the way. We're going to find out. You can see, I mean, just all the dirt in here. Okay. So I'm not sure, okay, how this comes out, guys. We're going to figure it out, though. got. Okay. Oh. There's something in there. I don't know what it might be. Possibly our stopper here. I think there's a stopper right there, looking at it. We're gonna find out. Okay, set those two little guys down. There we are. Yeah, so yeah, we're figuring out, guys. You spin this clockwise to bring it out. Oh man. Okay, there we go. So that, the nut goes onto those two bolts there. That's why I had to take those two out. So we're gonna go ahead and, if you guys can see in here, hopefully, hoping you guys can, there is debris. Let me see if I can just pick it out. I mean, if you look there, that's all metal shavings coming off, all there. So we're gonna hit it with the wire brush first. All that crap out of both sides. There we go. Clean out our threads while we're in here. Okay. Look at the splatter on the back of the wall there, if that doesn't tell you something. Okay, now we got to get in here. I just take the same light wired brush. So I can go right over the bolt heads and stuff. Clean off any metal we see. There you go. So again, this does have a track. We need to figure out how that goes, which side is which. Those three line up beautifully. I'm happy about that. One thing I'm not happy about, if you look here, this is how this thing got shipped. This is the little dial indicator, and it's just bent and wedged. So, things to look forward to. So, we're going to take that apart real quick. See if we can't get that piece out of there. Oh, there we go. Okay. You guys can see the casting. That's where all that crap comes from, is all that casting there. That's unfortunately part of this block, but there's our dial indicator that's likely no longer good, but we'll see if we can just drop it back in place. Likely not use it anyways. I'll probably plan is to upgrade this thing little by little, and I think what I'll end up doing is putting on all digital dial indicators on here. I've seen a lot of people do it with adding micrometers that are built onto it, so that way you don't even have to look and read these. You can just watch your micrometer as you're working with your piece. So Again, this is, I'm guessing originally supposed to just lay in there, and there's so much slop and play, I'm just going to leave it out. Say that. There's what is true 0 degrees if it moves. So unfortunately, that's junk. Okay. We are going to place this thing back in here. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I am able to, yep, leave this down for now until we get it lined up. This little guy can wipe down. He goes up in here. Once he's on the bed plate, then I am going to line these up first. Actually, leave that out. Okay. So if you leave this sticking out, you can line this up pretty easy because you can move the holes wherever you need them to be to line them right back up with their original location. I think the biggest thing to remember when doing stuff like this is not to tighten anything down until you're all lined up with everything. So I'm going to leave these kind of just finger tight. And then what I want to do personally is we're gonna add some wheel bearing grease, some high temp grease on this thread. This won't see a lot of metal shavings, and even if it does, we can always get in there and clean it. But I want to make sure my threads never wear out going back and forth. All right, we just got our all-purpose grease. Got a little brush. Just gonna paint it on the threads there. And we don't need a lot. It doesn't need to be a ton, but by doing some of this, when we do wind it in, it will engage the nut in there, and then yeah, I can already feel the grease starting to work. So roll it back, get a little more on here. Okay, so now that we lubricated the thing there, we can appropriately place this back up in the groove. That should hold itself. And there you guys have it. That is how you clean that system there. Grab our 2 Allens. We're going to lock these ones down first. Make sure it's all centered. The reason I'm moving this back and forward is I want this to center itself, because if it's cockeyed, it has a little bit of play. You don't want to be putting strain on that thread. So that looks about right. So snug those back down. 1. 2. And verify everything's working. Okay. That feels really good. Nice. Okay, we can go ahead and put our block back in. line those holes up. There and there. It's going to be these guys, 1 and 2. Don't want to go too tight. Make sure it's lined up first. We can turn this back around where it was. For now, then tighten that down. One. Two. Okay. Now that we know this thing is working properly, we can tighten these ones down. One, two. Okay. That feels really good. So, oiling. We have 2 oiling ports. These oilers will go down to these tracks. However, just because this thing's so new, I'm going to wind this all the way out. And I'm going to add some extra oil in there. We are using STP, just local, non-detergent 30 weight. So, excuse me, this is going to be your compressor oil or break-in oil. You want it with non-detergent because, especially with this, like here, this cold weather in the shop. Get this pumped up first. Yeah, literally had to pump it 1,000 times. Okay. So, we're just going to put a little bit extra down here. Then also, we can get to the back of those threads now, so we're going to go ahead and add a little bit extra grease on those threads. I'm going to grab one more brush for painting on the oil. All right. There we go. So now we can kind of paint on this 30 weight oil to the areas we can get to. And then we'll use the oilers to oil the middle of the track. So, now that's smooth. All right, just a small squirt. Well, the reason I use a brush is because I can get it inside that corner of that track really good. And we can get it up here on the surfaces. Okay. Now, these have these little oiler balls. Okay. Wipe off the excess. Now that should, in theory, be slowly oiling the plate. And it's got good clearance. It scrapes the oil, so we're talking, I think the tolerance of a 30 weight oil is like 30 thousandths or something like that, or 3 thousandths or something, I should say. And so it actually scrapes it off, so this thing is running true across that, so that's awesome. Okay, one is lubed up. Now we're going on to the next one. The next one, I don't know if these have any lubrication. Yeah, so this one does not have any pre-oilers on it. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and just lube that all up. Again, take the brush. Clean off any extra. You got that like that. I like to do anywhere the surfaces touch. So right here, as they slide across one another. Clean all this. And you have the extra oil off. We just want a real thin layer. Okay, then we'll take this one. Same thing we did. High-speed grease. Doesn't need a lot, just enough, but this will help. Keep those threads healthy. I believe this will go in here relatively far before it grabs the threads. Yeah, there we go. Oh, no, you know what? I think that's backwards. Caught myself, y'all. This is backwards. 1, 2. There we go. There. Threads are right here. Okay. Now, again, start this over. There we go. Make sure our threads line up right there. We're going to just help it along the way. This one, because it's sagging, that little centering wedge is kind of hard to get going until it's past this third bolt. Once it's here past, it's fine, but it's definitely smoother with this grease and oil. All right, we're past that third bolt. No play. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we got the lower one oiled. We got this top one oiled. This plate is really loose, so we're going to go ahead and tighten that while we're in here. One, goes. 2. Let's tighten down. This feels really good. 0 play. 0 play. Awesome. So now, what I want to do and get a rag out from underneath there. Make us some room. There we go. Okay. So I did see some other oilers. I gotta remember where they were. Oh, there's an oiler on the front here of our 3-tooth chuck. Just give it a few pumps. Okay. There's an oiler here for our bearing. Okay. All right, and just wipe off the excess. So now before I get too far, what I want to do is take my oiling brush. We're going to oil these tracks. Again, metal's going to stick if it's too oily. So I'm just going to put it on and then brush away the excess. But this will give us nice lubricated tracks. We got those edges filed off. Get our brush hairs off of there. Okay. There's one. So yeah, we're just giving this the initial lubrication that it needs. I think I said in the last video, I plan on upgrading these bearings that are in here. But for now, just this initial first lubrication is very important. So just spend the time in doing it. Get these hairs out of there. There we go. Now we're going to move it down the track. Nice. Okay, same thing here, a little bit more up front. Just on the railings here. Okay, here's our light coat of 30 weight non-detergent. Take some of this. Okay, now the next spot we're going to lubricate is going to be the gears. I'm going to stop that here. I watched a couple videos on some big lathes, and a lot of guys use, and it makes sense because it's, you know, this has got a gear. We got gears in here, but I'm also going to do it on these gears for the reel. But use chain lube because it actually leaves a film on there so that it stays lubricated long after. So I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit up on our track here. And we're gonna move forward. Oh, yeah, nice. Okay. Move forward and just get all our teeth lubricated. This stuff kind of, I don't want to say crystallizes, but it kind of turns into a coating or a film eventually as it cures. Oh, nice. This will help wear past the rest of that little weld I can't get to. There we go, though. All right, I'll wipe off the excess. Wipe off the excess here. Just a thin layer of oil is all we need. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and start this thing back up. Oops. Okay. Lid's got to be closed. Gear has to be in. This is what's weird. I thought that it would just turn on, then you put it in gear. It has to be in gear, otherwise the relays doesn't set. So in gear, 0 RPMs, lid closed, hit the green button. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and lube up our drive gear here, our drive screw. Don't want a lot, just a little. Enough to kind of, there we go. Now, slow this down to 0. Let's see, lock in our gear. It's locked in. You see that grease has made its way into our capture nut. Our chain lube is on this gear here for the gear motor that's connected to this. And actually probably wipe some of this end off, because this won't ever go that far. Get as close as we can. All right. Okay. See, our gear is nicely lubricated. right. Give us a good old wipe down one more time. All the stuff that's been thrown everywhere. We got our grease. Okay, so this particular machine has the, as I mentioned before, the metal gears. So we're gonna go ahead and lube those up. We got one little Allen key here. Don't want to lose that little guy. Okay. Also want to take some of this excess off here. All right. So on this particular model, got one baby Allen there, and then these two lock nuts. Cover should come off. Set this over on the plasma table for now. So two, they look like Kevlar infused. It looks like they have Kevlar in them, especially from the color. I'm guessing they're Kevlar belts. But yeah, so we have two of these guys, two belts here for changing speed. I believe right now we got the 72 tooth in there. This is capable of 2,500 RPMs. Right now it's on 1,250 RPMs. So depending on where the speed selector is, there is a adjustment somehow. I haven't looked into it, but there's a way to adjust it so it shifts gears and can go into the 100 to 2,500 range. Right now we're going to leave it where it's at. We're going to take our chain lubricant and make sure none of our electronics are open. They're not. We're going to put some chain lubricant on all these metal gears here. Just so. And then we'll turn it back on. We're just going to slowly turn it on. And there we go. You can already tell this thing is much quieter. With some actual lubrication on those gears. We're just going to let that lubrication do its thing with the cover off for now. We'll have to wipe the wall off back there, but you guys heard it earlier. You see it's much quieter. So if you look here, there's a magnet placed in here and a magnetic reader. That's where your RPM signal comes from for your digital screen there. So I've seen videos this magnets come flying out, so that's something to be aware of. Just kind of always check that. If you're having problems with it not firing up, not doing what it's supposed to do, likely it's possible the magnet has shot out of there. So I don't know if they sell extras, but again, that's something to be aware of. Like I said, I know this has a speed. I don't know how it changes gears. I'm guessing you just put the belt. Yes, so the belt Here's the power stock. B is on the inner one, and then the motor. Yeah, so I think you step the belt itself down here, step the belt down here, and then, or step it up, something like that, and then make adjustments. There's a couple adjustment screws. I'm going to throw this cover back on real quick. Most of that excess is flung off already, so we'll put our cover back in. I like to get this little guy lined up first, since he is the hardest one to line up. There he goes. Eventually, like I said, I'd like to get in here and lubricate these bearings. But for now, I'm pretty happy with how quiet it is. It also is even, before it was getting to about a max of 1190, just with lubricating that, those gears were at 1216, so. Well, guys, that's it. That is your first initial cleaning and oiling of your new mini lathe. I hope this video was informative. Like I said, I kind of had to learn as I went. So there's probably a couple things I missed. You guys can leave a comment if you guys are into this kind of stuff. Let me know what else I can do. That would be greatly appreciated. Again, we use some just all-purpose grease, some chain lube, all from STP, and our STP 30-weight non-detergent. Pick this little oiling can up from Harbor Freight, bag of rags. Another thing, when we get into cutting, I went ahead and picked up some Anchor lube. It is a cutting oil. This can be put down to a 2-to-1, so you can, or sorry, a 1-to-1 mixture, so you can do a 1 gallon of water plus 1 gallon of this. It's your cutting fluid. I've picked up a bunch of brushes on Amazon, so that way when we get into machining, we can have a nice little mixer. This kit came with it came with an oiler that's made of plastic. I'm going to use that oiler, and I'm going to dilute some of this and make that my little squeeze bottle for my cutting oil, and then I can paint it on with one of these brushes. So that way I can keep all my carbide bits longevity as long as possible. So anyways, you guys, appreciate you watching this. Hope this was informative. If you like the content, if you're into cars, into fabrication, we do more than just car stuff. But yeah, so help the channel grow by leaving a comment, liking, and subscribing. And until next time, thanks for watching YouTube.